So we'll attach the head to the body next. So we'll come out of any kind of subdivision mode with V to make sure it's not smoothed, and we'll change it to flat shade mode. If you haven't already, just do a quick save. So what we need to do is attach this to this. So the way, one quick way you can do it really is you can join the two by right clicking and combine objects. They are now one single object, but they're not joined because there's no neck, as you can see there underneath. So what we'll do is we'll select, we're going to delete one whole half of the body. So run a ring, select one, and double click on the next, and that's that ring gone. And do the same again here. And that should select all the way around. If you go to this side now, and then just middle mouse button, select all the way through, you can delete, oops, that half of the body. Make sure it's Alt N, can turn off the symmetry, or you'll delete the whole thing again. What I've actually done is deleted that as well, so Alt N. You can see there I'm deleting this side by mistake, so make sure Alt N is off and delete. There we go, it's gone. If you have the symmetry on, you're going to lose more than you bargain for. And what we've done there, as you can see, is deleted half of the mesh. So if we have a look down here now, all we need to do is choose where the neck is. So it might be good to have a quick look at the reference. It's a very thin neck in the middle here. So we'll just extrude here upwards, scale it down, try and keep it as much on the center line as you can. Doesn't matter because we will correct that, but it's just advisable to keep it on this center line as much as possible at this stage. Gives you less to do at the end. Moving those points just up on that axis there. Up again, and we'll delete. So we've got an open space, and then we're going to try and match that with some polygons here. So we'll just bring some polygons to match the shape of the neck, like so, and then delete those out, like so. And then all we've simply got to do is go 0.1, 2, 3, 4 and hit P, and that makes the polygons 1, 2, 3. Whoops, that's a good example of selecting through. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another one. Can get a bit tricky here if you don't watch where you're working. 1, 2, 3, 4, P, all done. And now we just even those out slightly. If you don't have all of those points snapped quite tightly onto that center line, then when you mirror it back across, it won't mirror correctly. So what you have to do is make sure that all of that is dead on center. There's a couple of ways you can do it. One, you can do it numerically by setting everything to 0 on the x-axis, but the quickest way is just double click an edge, and you'll see that's gone right the way around. Go to this front view and just scale it down manually, just to make sure that everything's flat and on that center line. And then if you click on your model now, what you will notice is, just check that keyboard F, double check that the pivot point is still on that center line. If for some reason when you've moved the two mesh to join the two meshes, this isn't on the center line, it's over here, then what will happen is it will make a mess of your mirror. This one's fine, so we'll go mirror geometry, and we'll just check that out, and you can see there it's left us a split in the middle, which means that it wasn't exactly on that center line. So we'll just move it over a tad. It might be to do with the, you can see there, it's a little bit too much. It might be that we moved it slightly too far over the center line. Again, same problem again, so let's just be very, very careful. I might have to switch the images off just to make sure. Yeah, it's done it again. So, modify, mirroring, mirror geometry options, and just change the tolerance, just make the tolerance higher. Just put 0.05 and just mirror there. You can see there straight away it's given us the mirror that we wanted. Okay. Now this model is a slightly earlier model that from the early stages that hasn't got the horns back in, so I'll put those in a moment. Now for the tail, what we need to do is, you can see that it's going all the way down the back like so, so we've got to extrude out the same way that we've done many times before. Don't worry about the bit at the end, we'll do that later. So if we just select some geometry, you can see that's roughly where we want it, and exactly as we did for the ear, we'll just start extruding out. Do one extrude first of all and then go back in and have a look at it. Get rid of this now, we don't need this. And what we want to do is bring it down, but first of all you can see what I did there, which is didn't have symmetry on, so Alt and N, let's get that symmetry going. Doesn't seem to apply to that top one, but it doesn't matter because it's on everything, it's on these here. Just get it as close to the shape of the tail that we can, which is just a round solid piece of muscle. It's not quite in the right position there, as you can see. So we'll select all of those points from the side and just, in fact, no, the whole lot. Just bump it up a tiny bit, and then we'll bring it back like so, and then we're ready to start extruding now. So we'll select that, and then just do exactly the same as we did with the ear. Just move, extrude, rotated the whole picture then, which I didn't mean to do. So Z, move, rotate, move, and scale. You can actually do a extrude along a path for something like this, but it takes such a short amount of time once you're used to doing this that I wouldn't even bother for such a small project like a tail. It's good for experience to have a go at that, and I'll capture that perhaps in another video. But for this project, this is going to be done in under a minute, so it's not really a problem. All I'm doing is extruding down, and then when needed rotating, and it's giving us a nice crisp shape. And I'm just going to carry right on past where the spike is, because we'll add that later, and then up to the end, and I'll just scale that down right down like so. That's great. And then we'll go in and we'll put a split, select that edge just to make sure we're in the right place, put a split there, and then grab that edge and bring it down, that edge and that edge. Bring that down. Same again. And you can see what I'm doing, just match into the view there. Few more splits. Puts it right to the edge there. Now that might have put too much geometry into the mesh, which doesn't look like it's too bad, so I'll probably leave that, and that'll help us to get a crisper edge on the tail here, so I'm okay with that. You do have to be careful that you don't go too far, as we've said many times. See, if you split again there, and go right up the mesh, which we wouldn't want to do, and the same for that one there. Like so, we don't want to do that. You can see that it's given us too much in the way of polygon density. Now what we can do to stop that is change the polygon flow around here. So just using X and the cut tool. In fact, I'll do it slightly differently. I'll put a split right through it manually. Then X. What that's done is given us a little bit of an issue there because it's given us a triangle, but you know that we would just... This might cause an issue. Ah, yeah, it does. It causes an issue because we're so close to the center line. So what I'll do is what I did before, oops, which is just split those two and then join them with an X, like so. Now that means that when I select all the way around now, it doesn't go out up the mesh, and we can put an edge right close to the edge there. Just have a look at this. Puts a ring round there. Oh, actually I hadn't copied it across there. The mirroring's a little bit finicky. You can see there it's not respected it across the mesh. Now we could fix that manually, or we can just fix it with mirroring across, which we'll do when we delete out the other half later. We'll fix that other side. Just make sure that the end is okay there, which it is. And that's the tail. So I'll just quickly pop those horns back on. I'll just pause and pop the horns back on. Okay, I've popped the horns back on, which is just missed off because we used an earlier model. And that's the core of the mesh done now. So everything from now on is looking for opportunities, like I just did then, for tightening the mesh and refining the mesh and making it a much better representation of the reference image. So we can copy that eyes across. If we just smooth everything out and go to wireframe, hide wireframe, and smooth shade mode, you can see now that the core of the model's done. There's no detail in the hands yet, and a little bit more needed on the feet. There's a little bit of an error there that we've seen with some polygons coming through, and what we do there is, that's because of when we mirrored it across and it's made a bit of a mess of the polygons. So the easiest way to do that, if you see that, is to select the bad polygons, and when you come back with V, you can see there the mess that all it's done is it's mirrored them across. So we'll just delete those out in a minute and replace them. And that's the core of the mesh. The next video will be the final one, which will be, we'll just add a little bit more geometry. I could keep seeing opportunities to add it myself now, so we'll do more of this, and we'll add little tiny details like elbows, fingernails, and we'll pump the mesh up at another resolution slightly, and then we'll do a little tiny bit of posing, and that's the end of the core modelling.